Hello, everyone. Marcus James here again, and today we're going to be talking about week 2 discussion for my master's program class. And this week we're just building more on last week's foundation and diving deeper into the um, fact of how information systems influence both strategy for businesses and ethical decision making for those businesses as well. And to connect our reading with the real world, I checked out an article on CIO.com called Why CIOs Must Rethink Security and Ethics in the AI Era. And this really stood out because this article shows that technology isn't just about running system efficiently, more so directly shaping leadership decisions, business outcomes, and why the people experience their organizations the way that they do, or the outcomes of those organizations, based upon how that organization is structured. So more so inside of the article talks about how the role of the CIO has changed. So they're no longer just managing infrastructure. They're no longer just, having IT departments do this and connect to the medical records to do that. There's no more of just managing the actual infrastructure. They're responsible for leading ethical conversations, especially around how the AI is used. And I know for my organization that I'm with now, we actually have a meeting, or let's say a board, a AI board or committee, I should say, that speaks specifically on the governance of the AI. How can we control the AI, and how can we make sure that this information is helpful to our organization, but we're not putting all of our trust into the AI for our organization. And I know one major concern, especially through the article that I read, is the black box problem. And the AI making decisions that even the developers can't fully explain, that's when you become a big deal, when those systems are used for hiring, approving loans, and diagnosing patients. You would want a strong input of what's going on with that AI and not just let it rule itself. The article also highlights risk around being trained with the data and the governance of the AI. So, it highlights the risk around bias training data and weak governance from the AI. Basically, if no one's paying attention, AI can ultimately reinforce discrimination or misuse personal data. And we never want that to happen as an organization. Your governance of your IT infrastructure has to be strong, clear cut, to make sure that these breaches or guardrails are set, so these breaches are not happening for your organization. So all in all, how it connects to chapter 3, it just lines directly up with chapter 3 in explaining how information systems help shape the strategy and change the way the organizations are structured. AI is one of those systems where it streamlines operations, reduces layers of management, and supports fast decision making. But chapter 3 also emphasizes how these systems don't just support strategy, they are the strategy. The article makes it clear that the CIOs must think beyond tech. So like I said in the beginning, there's no more just managing the infrastructure. Like, how do we want this to set up? Where do we want this equipment at? What levels in our organization are going to do so. It's not more so of just thinking tech. It's kind of thinking beyond that tech to bring that inside to the technical environment or world. And chapter 3 or talked about that as well. Also, they have to understand that these tools impact the businesses as a whole. And if AI drives decisions, they need to be aligned with the organization's values and long-term goals. So once again, just having that hand inside of the setup and governance of the AI for your information systems to ensure that you're getting the outcomes that you need and want for the organization. So with the chapter 4 connection, the ethics and accountability, that was more so focusing on the ethical and social part of the information systems, which is exactly what the article digged into. Once again, the CIO is no longer just standard. You kind of have to think beyond technology in a aspect and bring that ethical and social impact to our systems to make sure that we are maintaining the outcomes for our systems and our organization. It raises, and then also in the chapter 4 connection, it talks about raising concerns about bias, transparency, and privacy. And it just did a lot of reminding that just because we can use the data doesn't mean that we should. So AI is a wonderful tool, it's very powerful, but we shouldn't be able to use all of that data for our organization if we don't need it, because that does cause errors, breaches, and security measures that just takes a lot to come back from. When AI makes the decision based on flowed data or flawed data, it can be led to real harm, and someone needs to be accountable, and that's where the CIO comes in and kind of dictate what that organization would need, what the hierarchy of this information system is going to be, what the layout is, who needs the privileges to this, what can the AI do, what features do we need to turn on and off for this AI to make sure that our organization is protected, at the highest that it can be. And this is what chapter 4 talks about. And then it also just talks about, how CIOs are going to build the systems that are not only powerful, but fair, explainable, and respectful of other people's insights. And then it also gives us language for this, things like information rights, system quality, and accountability. It's not just about technology anymore in this world or this space. It's just more so about ethics in this action. So how are we going to be ethically sound using AI in our information system to make sure that our organization continues to proceed? And the article really brings our readings to life. It shows how the theories in chapter 3 and 4 play out today's in our workspace. I do work in a healthcare world or industry, and AI is definitely one of the biggest platforms or next steps that every clinical office is looking to, lean towards. And with that, I could just say, the setup is pretty easy. The setup of, the 1, 2, 3 steps is, and what it's going to do and how wonderful it is for your organization. But, when a vendor is selling that solution, a lot of times they don't tell you the downside of it. So that's where the CIO comes in and have to think beyond of just the technology aspect, but more so of that ethical and social aspect of how are we going to protect this solution to ensure that we are going to continue to do what's best for the organization. And CIO and really all of us in tech related roles have to think critically about how the systems affect people. So not just, our organization, but the people as a whole. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we don't want to, have biased information where it disrespects people in ways that we can't imagine. And it also talks about like how it helped me realize that being a part of the digital firm means being part of much bigger conversation. And that includes both innovation and integrity. So having those innovative conversation leading to the integrity of the organization is big. But all in all, for my closing parts, I just want to hear you guys' feedback once you see this video, and just start to think like how we can be ethically sound and socially sound with our information systems that we're using. It's no more standard infrastructure or standard IT procedures just in any organization. Now we have to think outside the box, think about these different solutions that do involve AI, and how we can make sure that we're protecting not only our organization, but our people inside of the organization and the crowd or audience that we're giving or providing a service to. So once again, I look forward to hearing from you guys, and thank you.